Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the book Refuge and welcome to a really special video. I am filming this intro clip after having filmed the entire thing because, as you'll see in a minute, I wanted to get started with the vlog when I started the books for this. And I just wasn't in a place where I was like ready to start this. And so now I'm filming this at like late at night and my lighting's not the way I want, but I want to get this edited and get it out so that it can be seen. But what I did for this, if you don't know by the title, is that how this came about is that I have a TBR tin, which is actually right here, and a lot of you viewers actually helped me build it. And one of the things that I have in here is my bestest friends on Booktube. I have their names in here, and when I draw their name, I reach out to them and ask for a recommendation. So Sweet Crystal gave me a list with 3 books on it, which was really kind of her, so that I could choose. And 2 of the books on there I had really been wanting to read. She gave me Love at First and Waiting for a Scot Like You were on this list. And I had also been wanting to finish the Grip trilogy, which I know that the final book is Crystal's favorite. Like, she says of all time, currently. And so I was like, well, let's go for it. So I was planning, you'll see, I was planning to just read Love at First, Waiting for a Scot Like You, and Grip. But when I got to the end of Grip, I had to read Still as well. So I did. Spoiler alert, Crystal, I did like everything. And you probably know that because I talk with Crystal daily, and maybe you wondered why I was reading all of your favorite books at once. I don't know. I don't know if you suspected anything, but I was reading your favorite books so that I could make this video. And Crystal did one of these for me once before we like even knew each other really at all. And so I've been wanting to do one, but I was nervous because it's a lot of pressure, guys, when you take on people's favorite reads. I've had a handful of people do this with my favorite books, and you're always on pins and needles when you're watching the video. So I just wanted to give you that spoiler alert, Crystal, that even though y'all are going to see me a little bit hormonal and sassy for the beginning of one of the books, I love them all. And I do eat my words a couple of times. So speaking on the other side, I had a super bitchy like Monday or Tuesday, and I apologize, you'll see. And so reading a really angsty Kendall Ryan book, I was like, fuck this book. But I loved it. I loved it. So there we go. Okay, I'm going to bounce out. I already filmed the ending clip. I'm going to put this all together, but I hope you enjoyed the reading vlog. And Crystal, you have my heart, my booktube bestie. I hope you like this because it was really fun to do, but I was also terrified the whole time. So enjoy. Okay, so it's time to film this first clip. The day really got away from me. I feel like just like a trash fart right now. I'm not saying that I look like it. I'm not getting down on myself. I just mean Monday has been a Monday. But I did manage to read half of Love at First while I was at work today. I have the audiobook of this, and I have made it to, let's see, what chapter am I on? Chapter 11. And I meant to film a clip with my like initial thoughts at the beginning, but again, I was listening to this at work and I just had a full day of stuff to do, and it's not the same as working from home where I can just pause and put my tripod up. Like, got a lot of stuff. So, but I wanted to hop in and, you know, give some thoughts about where I'm at right now. First off, I totally tell why so many people are in love with this. Like, it's just told in this really like kind of cozy way. It's very pleasant. Everything is just keeping moving along. And so there's nothing about this that I am disliking. But I will also say I'm very happy that Crystal picked this for me to get me to go through the whole book, right? Because I don't read a lot of books like this anymore. A book that, I mean, I wouldn't even say that it's like women's fiction, because both the woman and the man are equally dealing with past that they're kind of like parent issues and family issues that kind of hurt them in the past, you know, and they're dealing with them. One woman really has a found family. The other guy hasn't. Like, he hasn't had a family at all in a long time. And so it honestly feels more like a general fiction. But I know from my friends loving this, you know, obviously Crystal loving this, that this is one of her like favorite low-key romances she's read recently. And so I want to complete it, and I will probably complete it tonight. That's why I was like, stop and film a clip before you go any further, or this whole vlog is like pointless if I'm not like filming the clips. But this just isn't a speed of book that I read anymore, you know? But anyway, what is it about? What am I even doing? Okay, so this book is 16 years ago. This guy named Will is outside of his uncle's apartment with his mom, and he sees this girl come out on a balcony, and he hears her laugh and like sees her like playing around with something, and he just wants to talk to her because she thinks she is so beautiful, and he loves her laugh. And then he happens to overhear what his mother and his uncle are talking about, and it's something that like shatters him. Then 16 years later, that uncle has died, and the apartment that, this is kind of cute, I love the little, the apartment that he lived in, the uncle left it to Will. This uncle who hasn't had anything to do with him this whole time. And Nora, she has lived off and on at this apartment building since she was 9. She would spend the summers there with her Nona, and now she does live there full time, and she is the like apartment manager there. And Will just wants to sell off his apartment, but there is like ironclad things in the will, the written will, that it will take a year before he's able to sell it. And so then he decides he wants to rent it, and the apartment association is like, no, we don't want strangers coming in and out of our apartment, because he wants to do like a I'm starting to sweat, this is just fun, like, God, I forgot what it's called, where you stay the night, Airbnb. He wants to turn it into like an Airbnb. And so all the people who live in this building, first they're really angry, then they try like smothering him with kindness, they try doing these different things to get him not to do it. And meanwhile, like, Nora and Will have this crazy attraction to each other, but obviously I wouldn't completely call this like an enemies situation, because they're not really enemies, and very quickly they start to know more about each other, and that they are more similar than they think. So it's very slow moving though, and it's not a pace that I generally appreciate, right? But I knew that going in. I knew this was going to be just like a soft, sweet thing, and I really like both of the characters. Just the plot of this just isn't a story that I'm like, oh yeah, can't wait to read it. But again, I'm happy that this book was picked, because it's good for me to slow my pace down and not have banging be the plot. And honestly, the chemistry between them is beautiful. And again, I was listening to this while I was working today, so I'm glad I made it to a good section of the book. I feel like things are going to start moving quicker now. So my goal tonight is to finish this. And I want to say I'll film a clip when I finish it, but I can't promise that I will. Because, again, I haven't had the greatest day today, and that's also what I want to remember. I don't want to judge this book harshly because I've had a shitty Monday, because it is written really beautifully, and it's definitely a kind of contemporary romance that, like, 5 years ago, I would have just been, like, starry-eyed over, right? And it still could be. Like, there's nothing that I have a problem with in this book. I'm just a bit of an impatient reader these days. And again, I don't want to hold it against this book. I've had quite a few duds in the past 2 weeks where audiobooks I've been listening to have just drug on and on and on. And luckily this one, again, the pace is going pretty good. And I'm sorry that this is the downer clip. I am still like intrigued with it. I'm ready for things to start happening between them because their chemistry, again, is palpable and it's beautiful, and I need something to happen with it. So there we go. There's my first check-in for this reading vlog. I am very excited about the other books that I'm reading for this as well. But this is my first Kate Claiborne, and I've just seen so many things shared about this. So I'm going to finish it no matter what, and I'm excited to see what happens. Hello. So I'm doing a check-in. I finished Love at First. Now I'm making myself a snack, which is a new recipe. I'll show you in a second. And then I'm still debating between which book I'm starting next, but I'm going to start the next one for my crystal vlog because I just have been wanting to read one of these two books anyway, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this vlog, is that all these books that I've been wanting to read, they're all ones that Crystal really loves. Sorry, that lighting is just in my sink. Whatever. You guys like seeing this raw and real shit, right? So what I am making is I'm making this Greek yogurt peanut butter dip that I saw on TikTok, and I want to be making more like healthier snacks again, and so I'm going to try to do this. So you're supposed to do 1 like cup size of Greek yogurt with half a cup of peanut butter and a little bit of honey, and then you mix it together and use it for apple dip. I also have some little like crisp cookies to dip in it too, so I'm putting this in. So I finished Love Lettering. It was like I thought. It was really sweet. The couple, like, the conflict was there, but it wasn't like overdone. You know, it's a hero who's scared of feelings, who has seen it go wrong for his parents and is nervous about it for himself. And so he's afraid of loving someone. I mean, it's exactly kind of what you expect out of like a slow-paced contemporary like it is. I didn't hate it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Again, like, that's the thing. I am in such a weird mood about it. But I think part of it is just this isn't really action heavy. And I am much more in a dark romance mindset in the past like couple months, and so reading a slow-paced contemporary like this, which is a very slow burn, you know, there's like 1.5 sex scenes in it, that's just not what normally holds my attention anymore. Like, it's just being honest. This is a phase that I'm in where I like there to be more going on. As I said, this was a nice change of pace. It was nice to be listening to at work. It was a good thing to finish reading while I was watching a live show tonight. I don't feel like I missed anything. So if you see this, there's peanut butter, honey, and this in here. I'm mixing it up. So it was great. Like, it just isn't a book for me that's like, wowza, I can't wait to tell everyone about it. But I understood why people like it. And if I do like low, like, it was a pretty low angst book, even though the hero had some angst to him, it was a pretty low angst situation, and the community at the building was really great. So yeah, all right, getting this mixed up. This looks really good. So I think I'm gonna start Grip. I think that's the one I'm gonna start. Now I don't know if in this vlog if I'll read Grip and Flow, or Grip and Still, or Flow. I don't know, I think I've already read Flow. So during the Kindle Clear Out readathon, which was just like 2 weeks ago, I read Flow already. So nobody freak out. I've already read the prequel. That's part of the reason why I'm like ready to read this series now. In the prequel, we see Grip and Bristol meet each other. her brother, she's been kind of separated from her brother for a while, and now we're getting to see them. What even happens in that book? They are seeing each other after quite a few years. Her brother is a pretty famous musician. Grip is a rapper. This is an interracial couple. She's white, he's black. So they have some interesting conversations in regards to that, which is really cool. And then they have this great tension building. They're excited for there to be something going on between them. And then at the very end of that, something happens that kind of stops them in their tracks. Like, it stops them being a couple before they could ever be a couple. So now what I know of this, I believe it's going to pick up. I don't know if it picks up right after that or if it's longer. I have no idea. I haven't even started this one yet. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to start Grip, and I'll listen and read along to that one. I might just get it started tonight because I am still in the middle of a arc that I want to finish, but I wanted to get this vlog going in case it takes me a while. So there we go. This is me probably signing off for tonight. Sorry I've been so crabby. Crystal, I'm sorry if you feel like I didn't give Love at First a good enough chance. I feel bad, but it was just the mood I was in when I read it today, and I completely understand why it's so loved and why it's such a sweet story. It just really isn't quite my pace, but I see why people loved it. And so there's no one thing about that book that's like bad. It's just not the Jenn vibe, right? Okay, I'm gonna cut up my apple and eat my snack and see if I feel better. Okay, all right, time to check in. It is the next day, and a couple things. I'm feeling so much better, and something happened last night. I don't know what was in my juice box, but I was so bitchy. Like, it's not even like my period or anything, but I was a crank. Like, I was a crank. And so I started Grip last night, and I was so like irrationally angry at stuff that was happening in that book. And I know what was annoying me, but I don't know what had me so pissed off. And so I didn't want to film an update last night because I was just like, nothing that I say will accurately count my feelings. I already feel like I was kind of harsher on Love at First than I meant to be. But it is true that I wasn't totally in the mood to read that book, and it might not have been the best time to read it, but I wanted to start this vlog, so that's what happened. So what I ended up doing is that I started Grip, and I read a good amount of it, and it was really frustrating me, which I knew was going to happen, okay? Because I'd read Flow, and I knew that Grip was going to be tough for me because there's just some things about the story and this kind of story that irritate me. There's also something about Kendall Ryan that she just wants to destroy you so much, right? Which is a beautiful thing that she does, but it also hurts. And last night I was like, fuck you for trying to hurt me. So it wasn't working. So what I did is I'd made it a good way into it. Like, I listened for a good while. And I also was like skimming a few little bits because Grip, it's been 8 years since Flow happened. Grip still wants to be with Bristol so much. And I know that My Soul to Keep? But I know the series about the brother and his wife takes place during that time period. And so from people who've read that series, they say that you are even, like, you get to see the stuff that's happening behind the scenes with Bristol and Grip and stuff. But they've been apart all this time. She's currently his manager, and she continually just spurns anything because she's scared. She's seen her parents, how fame and bad choices like really messed them up, and her mom tells her, she's like, you're just like me, you're gonna make the same decisions that I made, which I'm just like, fuck you, Mom. Like, no, she won't, you know. But Bristol's so worried about being like this hard ass, we're being like, I'm not gonna let anybody walk on me, when it's like, nobody's trying to walk on you. Actually, they're just trying to get close to you, and you are just kicking them away with both feet, right? And so what hurts is that she basically sets Grip up with someone else, and Grip is like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And that made me like so mad. And I know you're not supposed to be happy about it, but I was just irrationally upset because of reasons. So anyway, what I did then is when I got to that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to hurt someone. And I actually like rage messaged a couple of my friends and I was like, why am I reading this book? Oh my God. So Crystal, when you'll see this, you'll know that I rage messaged you to keep myself from like imploding. So Crystal will know what I'm talking about. So I stepped away and I decided to read the next Maiden Lane novel because I already had the audiobook for that one queued up. And I was like, I know that I'm going to like this book. It probably won't have the same level of angst and will be fine. And so that's what I did. I actually listened to the third one because I'm planning to skip. I skipped the second Maiden Lane novel and maybe I'll go back to it. But the plot of that one and the characters in that one, I didn't have an interest in. But I did have an interest in the third one of those, which I'm not going to talk about here because this is a vlog about reading Crystal's books. And even though she loves Elizabeth Hoyt as well, and I think she's currently reading that one. Anyway, so I listened to that and I finished it at work today. And then I started listening to Grip again when I was in a much better mood. The Maiden Lane did exactly what I needed. It was delightful, fantastic, super sexy, great. So then I dived back into this. And thankfully, the part I have reached at this, I'm over 50%, like I'm at like 50 or maybe 60%. And I know there's still rough times ahead because they popped the seal and they've started fucking. And it was so great. Like, everyone's right. Grip is hot as hell. He's so sexy. Like, it's great. And I know they got a lot to go through. But at least now we've both admitted our feelings. So even if we're going to like fight like a cat and a dog back and forth, at least our feelings are out there. So this is me giving you a happier update. I will hopefully check in later tonight. I am going to make myself some dinner and I need to catch up on a couple audiobooks, but the YouTube read along is coming up in just a half an hour or so. So I'll probably hop onto that and read with everybody. And then I will update you later. So glad I'm in a better mood now. I just look so great. And of course, but I wanted to do a check-in right when I finished it. This was a really good book. I am going to give it 5 stars. Even though there were parts that I needed to skim, part of that is just because of me and because I'm a picky bitch and because I was really bitchy the other day. They do have such an amazing love story. And again, once they crack the seal of admitting their feelings, they are just 100% in it. And I love that so much. I love that they are 100% in it. It makes me really happy. So yeah, it's so good. I can't think of like a ton to say right in this moment because I'm just sitting in it. But the whole thing with Parker, I knew that asshole was going to do something. But I absolutely love that Grip kind of took that into his hands where he's like, I would still love you if this happened. I know I'm being kind of vague. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. And like talks to some people about what the plan is. And I'm so glad he did that. I'm so glad he did that because there's got to be a way to defeat this asshole, right? There's got to be a way. And so I love that he did. You know, he was like, I'm not going to make this be your only option, if that makes sense. So where we end this, they're together. Grip is, I think they're poised for greatness. I am definitely going to keep reading. And at the end of this vlog, I feel like I'll have more to say. My normal verbose thoughts just aren't here. Like, I'm just really happy for them. And I'm going to read Still. I might even start it right now because I have Still on this new audio app that I'm testing out, which I may have already made a video about that. We'll see. But I also want to do another historical romance again because Elizabeth Hoyt really made me happy. Julia Quinn in between here. But the last book I'm planning to read for this vlog is going to be The Waiting for a Scot Like You, right? Those are the 3 that I plan to read, I think. I may end up including my thoughts on Still if I end up finishing that first. But Waiting for a Scot Like You is the one that I have to listen to next. And I'm pretty excited about that. If you, the viewer, don't know, Crystal and I, one of our first book clubs together, we did My Fake Rake, which is by Eva Lee and is the first one in the series. And then I didn't read the second one, but the third one, you know, has that younger man, older woman. She's a widow. She wants to go to an orgy. He's the one going to take her. He's a Scot. They're based on 80s stuff, and supposedly this one made Crystal really happy, and I am excited for that. The first one had some situations in it that were very frustrating, so for both of us. But before I read My Fake Rake, I read like 3 or 4 other of Eva's books, and I enjoyed them quite a lot, and this app that I'm testing out has quite a few of Eva's books as well, so that's kind of nice. But yeah. So anyway, that's the plan next. I really, really want to read the next Elizabeth Hoyt, which I got on hold, and that would be my first Brooklyn Public Library book. So I want to start that one as well, but we'll see. Okay, enough of this. I'm rambling tonight. Whatever. I'll check back in and let you know where I'm at. Hi, everyone. So, I'm going to be a hot mess for this because I ended up reading all of Still at work today, which was a bad decision because I cried most of the day. I 1000% understand why Still is Crystal's favorite book. I literally was just watching a book haul, and she actually hauled all 4 of the books that I'm talking about in this vlog, so it's so funny. So, because yeah, she hauled all of them, which is really cute. But this book, I don't know what more I can like add to the conversation about Still, because I just feel woefully inarticulate to explain how beautiful and perfect it is. For all the pain and angst and like annoyance that Grip gave me, which I don't know if I said this, but like the Grip, I ended up giving that one 4.5 stars because the second half of that book paid off for me, and it paid off the annoyance that I was feeling. And then Still just doubled down on that, and it gave me these 2 characters together. It gave me their lives for quite a few years we get to see, and then I had the box set on my Kindle, so I also got these 2 little stories. One of them's called All, and one of them's called something Splendor. I can't remember what it is, but so I got to see a good like, you know, 7-year chunk of their lives probably. And if you count where the epilogue started, I mean, we get to see like 15 years of these people's lives. And it was just so genuine. And their communication is so well, like once we get past, like once we bust through, like once we break the seal on this dance that they're doing, their communication is very good. And the way that they continually find new ways to express their love and devotion in just real ways, some of them simple, some extravagant, it just rends your heart. And this is a part. So I knew that one of my trigger warnings is in still. I'll put a little spoiler tag so that I can tell you what it is. Because with this one, I do understand why it would be a spoiler, but for me, it's my trigger. So I thankfully had some friends, both Tiffany and Jessen, told me, because I all the time complain that I never get trigger warnings for this trigger for me. And so it is loss of a child, pretty much at birth. Ooh. Okay, I'll take the spoiler tag away and I'll talk about the feelings and not about what happened. Seeing certain situations handled by this couple, seeing them, even with such great love, struggle in a realistic way. Like, I know people who've went through this, and it is a kind of pain that your color doesn't matter, you know, where you're from. And Grip even says something about it, like this kind of pain, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter who your parents were, it doesn't matter the color of your skin, you can't hide from this kind of pain. There's no social standing or skin color that protects you from that kind of pain that they feel. And that is so true, because I've had friends at all different points in their life have situations like that. I actually have one friend that the situation was very much like what happens to Grip and Bristol. Like, yeah, very, very close to it. And it was all those things because, yeah, it is so beautiful. I'll talk more in spoilers when I do a weekly wrap up for these books. But in this vlog wise, I mean, Crystal knows what I'm talking about. You, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. And just the simple, like I don't have like the words to come out. And in the way that Love at First was a very sweet, almost funny, but just an everyday love, Grip and Bristol they have an extraordinary love. And it's not even a love that's impossible to have, you know? Just the way that Kennedy Ryan writes it, that their devotion to each other is all-consuming, but also just a part of who they are, you know? Like, I imagine being friends with them, you would still feel really loved by them, you know? Like, but they're that couple that they are first. And that is something that that I think is so important, and I think that we don't always say, because children are important, and I don't have children, so I can't speak of this of like mom feelings. But I look at my loved ones and friends and family, and I know how much they love their children. Absolutely. But I think what we forget sometimes, and where some people can go wrong, is, especially if you've seen relationships not be right, is that there's a reason why a man and a woman coming together and creating a life together, that's supposed to be the foundation by which your children rest upon, right? And why sometimes when that's not there, we have other challenges that enter our lives, right? You know, Grip even talks of that, of like having a single mom that she was able to provide, and she worked so hard for her, and she was an amazing mom. But nothing can really beat having that connection of your parents be so solid. And coming from someone who had a broken home, that I did have a mom and a dad. My whole life I've had a mom and a dad. But my parents haven't been in true harmony until the last 5 years. And that caused me a lot of pain and grief and hard situations when I was young. So I'm getting a bit like waxing poetic, but my point being is that Grip and Bristol and the family that they're building that starts with their relationship is so amazing. And this actually was in like one of the little after stories where Grip is like, you are the one I can't live without. Like fame, money, anybody else in my life, there are people I would miss, but you are the only one I can't live without. You're the only one that it would rend my soul to be away from. And whether you think that that's fanciful or not, it makes for a beautiful story. It makes for a fantastic romance. And it makes for everything that I, as a romance reader, am looking for. And so, though Kennedy Ryan likes to put us through it, I also felt so rewarded with this story, more so than in some of the others, which I have enjoyed. Like, I think that some of my friends have this thought about me that I don't enjoy Kennedy Ryan. I've actually only not liked one that I've read. I've loved everything else I've read. It's just that they put me through such an emotional ringer. And you saw me, right, in a previous clip where I was just like exhausted with it. Because if I'm not in the exact right mind space, these books can just wipe me out, you know? But today, even though there was so much pain, and like I said, I was bawling through my lunch hour, the hope that arises from it and the beauty of this couple together, it was such a great payoff for the pain, right? It just was. It was fantastic. So, yeah. All right, I have one more book to read for this vlog. I thought about ending it here, but I really wanted to read kind of from 3 different areas. And I know Love at First was a contemporary, but that was more of like a rom-com. And Grip and Still are more of like a heavy-hitting contemporary. And then Waiting for a Scot Like You hopefully will lighten the mood of this. But, I mean, if you've been hesitating on the Grip trilogy because you aren't sure, I mean, I'm a convert. I love it. And I also need to have the books. And I do want to read about Rhys and Kai. Like, it's really hard for me to not just start their books. I might just start their books because I really want to read about them. Getting to see where they end up, I feel like will also give me hope if there's like some struggle in the beginning of that one. But I'm here for it. So, okay. I will be back soon. Hi. Okay. I'm up way too early on my day off, but I knew that would happen. Like, hopefully I'll be able to sleep in better tomorrow. But yeah, when I have a day off that's normally supposed to be a work day, I don't sleep in. Like, it doesn't happen. But I just wanted to do a check-in. I decided to meet with my trainer this morning. I haven't been able to see her in the last couple weeks just because of stuff. But she's actually going to be having a baby in the near future. And then I won't get to see her for a long time. So I was like, I have the day off. Let me come in and see you. So totally going to go see her. But I wanted to tell you at the start of this book instead of coming in at the end of it, because I'm planning to listen to this one today. I am finishing up another book that I got sucked into yesterday. And I did continue with Kennedy Ryan, and I went back and started the like Soul series or whatever. So that's exciting. Definitely I can tell that this series came before the other one, which it does. And it definitely does too, because you see Bristol and Grip, and you see how like bitchy Bristol was and like all these things. But I really enjoy it because I love seeing her be fierce like that. Like, I just do. It turns me on to see how like fierce and protective she is. And though, since it's in Rhys and Kai's point of view, I'm sure she seems even more like, some things just come out of her mouth that shouldn't. But I feel like part of that has to do with, you know, Kennedy Ryan probably hadn't fully formed what the Grip trilogy was going to be. Like, I'm sure she knew she was going to tell their story, but until you're actually writing it, you don't fully know what you're doing with those characters. So it doesn't bother me, but I can see why reading the Grip trilogy first, that even Kennedy Ryan like suggests that now, that she's like, read this series first and then read the other one. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. I started this just a little bit. I'm only in chapter 2 or 3, but I'm already excited. The language that's used, so this one is about a widow who, she's in her 40s. She has 3 grown children. It was a nice marriage, but I can tell that it wasn't one where she was fully able to do what she wanted. And what's cool is that, so I've actually read more of Eva's books than even Crystal has. And there's this one book that's called, oh shoot, I'm sure it's listed in the beginning. Temptations of a Wallflower. And it's actually about a woman who writes erotica at the time. And this character, Beatrice, she's actually read those books. So that's really fun. That book is really good. It's actually my favorite book by Eva, Temptations of a Wallflower. So it's really cool that Beatrice has read it. But then we have a younger man who, his friend, one of the rakes, because this is a union of the rakes, asks him to help deliver Beatrice where she wants to go, because they care about Beatrice. She's a friend of his wife and is like, hey, would you guide her to where she's going? Well, what Duncan, is it Duncan? Yeah, what Major Duncan McCameron doesn't know is that it's an orgy that we're on our way to. She's ready to have a fucking great time, and the giddiness in her when she's like packing her bags and preparing for it, it's great. She's just ready to fuck her way through everything and have sexual freedom, and it's so exciting. So I'm already very excited for this. I'm listening to this. This book is actually on the AnyPlay app that I'm like falling in love with right now. And I'm really excited. I think all of Eva's books are on the AnyPlay app, so that's kind of cool. But anyway, I just wanted to do a starting clip, and then I will come back when I finish this book, whether it's later today or tomorrow, and I'll wrap up everything, and then I'll have to film the beginning clip as well because I just dived into this. But things are going well so far, and I look forward to a day of not doing much. It's gonna be a good day, so I'll check in later. Hi! Okay, so I'm here to wrap up this vlog, and I'm probably gonna have filmed the starting clip in this position too, because this vlog ended up taking me all week because I kept getting pulled into other things. But I want to get this edited and put up and send a version of this to Crystal so that she can see how this went. But I just finished Waiting for a Scot Like You, and it was everything that was promised to me. I didn't do an update in the middle of this because I know this vlog was getting pretty long, and I kind of want to wrap up everything just for myself as well, because like I said, this vlog took a little bit. I loved, there were so many movie references in this one. Number one, the Beatrice, the Countess of Ferris. So I know this one is supposed to take some inspiration from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There's also a certain part of the book that reminds me of Footloose. There's even some like movie lines thrown in there, like As You Wish was said once. But I loved this. I loved how sexy this was. I loved that this woman who, you know, she's done her duty. She's a countess. She's had the children she's supposed to have. She was a dutiful wife. She didn't do anything to embarrass her husband. And after, you know, it's been 3 years since her husband died. She's been out of mourning for like 18 months or something like that. I can't remember how long. And she's ready to go to this orgy. And her friends want someone to go with to take care of her. And it's a good thing that she does, because this is also, and probably the only part that took, like, I'm giving this one 4.5 stars. Because I do still think that I like Temptations of a Wallflower better. And not that that means that the stars have to move. I just think there was so many things happening. And so that's not horrible. That's stuff that happens in a comedy. of the time. Like, just think of all the crazy hijinks. There was even a scene that was a little bit Home Alone-esque too. Like, I don't know. This was so much fun. It was so creative. The sex scenes were so good. Just so good. And I loved the subtle dominance. But he definitely is like dom in the bedroom. Outside, that comes across as he's very, he's a rule follower. You know, he's a major. He's always had to be the one in charge. And so he's not able to show his full feelings all the time. And as he loosens up, as he's forced to loosen up because of the crazy situations that they end up in, Beatrice herself wants him to enjoy things. She asked him at one point in this book, what are some things you've done just for the fact of pleasing yourself? And not in the sexual way. She's like, what are things you've done just to please yourself? And he's like, I don't. And she's like, what about just eating too much cake? And he's like, that would be wasteful. So there's just lots of cute things. And yeah, the sexy times are great. The story is great. There was just, and I think part of it is that I've read quite a few of these lately. Actually, my weekly wrap-up, I'll talk about this. Books were like tripping from thing to thing constantly. I loved this one a lot better. The other one I'm referencing was called It Happened in Scotland, which was a really, like, I expected it to be so much cuter than it was. But just all these bombastic things were happening the whole time, and the characters never got to, like, be around each other until the very end. This one's a lot of forced proximity. There's bed sharing. There is, like I said, lots of disasters happening and things. And it ended up great. And then it also, part of that half star off is that, as with, this is not just an Eva-Lee thing, but it is an Eva-Lee thing for the ones that I've read. This makes 6 of her books that I've read. She does just like wrap everything up in like 5 pages. And I was like, wow, can we like talk about it a little bit more? But 4.5 stars for this one. I loved it so much. So let's kind of talk about everything again, just real quick. The books that I read, just because I need to. I know that I didn't fully talk about some of these because the clips were spread out. The first book being Love at First. I really like this. I gave this 4 stars. This was a very quiet, sweet, slow burn. Like, the attraction's there right away, but slow burn because of circumstances. And I don't read a lot of books paced like this anymore. And so I appreciated that I wouldn't have read this if I hadn't heard Crystal talk about it. This one specifically, nobody else's opinion on the book had me as interested as hers did. So I was really glad that she put this in the list, and it was a nice change of pace for me. And though it's not a book that like I'm going to seek out, I had a pleasant time with it. I'm glad I had the audiobook for it, and it was a good read for me. It was great. Then there was Grip, which, wow. And this is the one where like I'm interested to look back at my footage because I think that I was jumping to conclusions. And one of the things, I was just talking with Jesson about this, because spoiler alert, Crystal, Jesson and Tiffany both knew that I was doing this vlog because I was like, I was talking to them through some parts where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm scared. Am I going to have to scrap this vlog? What if I don't like it? But this one is one that so many people like. And that's what made me scared to read it, right? And this wasn't even one on your list. This is one I wanted to read because I read Flow. And this was one that I had just, the way you talked about Grip and Still, and the way I've heard other people talk about Grip and Still. And then it's funny because while I'm filming this vlog, there was a book haul that you did. I know I'm talking directly to Crystal. I'm sorry to every other viewer who's seen this, but talking to my bestie right here. You did a book haul where you were like, Still is my favorite book, period. And I was like, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. But anyway, Grip. This one had the hardest like beginning for me because, and not just because of Bristol, just because of like the situations. And I understood where she was coming from the family that she had. I loved the deep conversations that these two had, and the way that like the conversations that they had before they were together shows me that things happen at the right time. And because Bristol is who Bristol is, it really took her having Quest rubbed in her face for her to explode and just be like, I'm done with this shit. And I love the moment finally, when Grip like clues in, where he's like, okay, this is the time to make my push. This is the time. This is her weak moment. I know that sounds bad, but it's like, this is her weak moment. I got to make one last play for this because I know we're meant to be together, and I've got to make the play. And that was the turning point in the book for me. And that's where I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then because of that foundation that they have laid, even though in that one there's everyone else just throwing shit at them, Grip knows when people throw these questions at him of like, why are you dating a white girl? Why are you doing this? Why are you messing with where you're from and all these things? He's able to say like, you don't get it. You don't get it. There's so much more groundwork that is laid in this relationship than you can just guess. And I'm with this intelligent woman who were able to have these conversations. The world at large wasn't in on their conversations, where she's able to show what she doesn't know, and he's able to explain things to her without feeling that she is, you know, coming at it from a bad place. Like he loves her, so he's always assuming that she wants to learn. And, you know, as someone who I felt like I learned a lot through this book, and granted it's fictional, so you still want to check that against reality. It's just one, you know, it's just one look at it. I felt like I never felt preached at, because even though there are other people in the story that are screaming certain things, Grip is talking one-on-one with his love, and he's like, this is how it is. And this is what's important, not only about the community at whole, but me at whole. And that's great. Because when we deal with the drama that is Grip, which I don't know if it says, I gave that one 4.5 stars, even though I know some of my friends were like, you gave it 4.5 stars, you sure bitched enough. Well, that's the thing, is I was stumbling through the first half of this book where I was like, okay, I don't like this, I'm frustrated. And then once it flipped for me, I saw what was going down in that front part of the book. And so it was a 4.5 for me then, and I rounded it to a 5 because I saw what was happening and I got it. And then still, which I know you know from a clip, like I love that it's a 6 star. It absolutely is. I understand why this is Crystal's favorite book. And I'm still not, I have not processed it all yet. Like I still just think back on it and I'm like, whoa. Talking with Jessin about this is some of Jessin's favorite books too. She said she finished that trilogy and then immediately went back to Flow and read them all again. And like, I want to do that. I am currently reading the Soul series, the My Soul to Keep and Down to My Soul. So I kept going, and I'm reading Rhysand and Kai. And I just love it. I get it. And I also think that there's some, I mean, just from what my friends might think that I'm like hesitant about Kennedy Ryan, I've loved more than I've disliked. I've only disliked Queen Move. And I know I'm not the only one. I think a lot of people, now that there's been some space from Queen Move, admit that it's not their favorite book. They love it still, or like it a lot, but other ones are much better. And I think my issue is that Queen Move was my first introduction to her. And then I'd started Queen Move and it didn't work. But then I read Long Shot and Block Shot and I was like, oh. But then I went back to Queen Move again and I wish I just hadn't tried. I wish I had read like the Kingmaker series, which I will. I'm going to read it soon. I will. I want to read about that relationship. I really do. I got the first one because currently the first one is free. But anyway, sidetrack. And I just got stuck on Queen Move. So then I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do the Grip series because that's another one that's super hyped. So maybe it won't work for me. And it did. It freaking did. I'm here. I love it. I feel like I will never love it as much or the same way that Crystal does. But there was some seriously emotional things for me in that book. And I'm going to buy myself some copies and I'm going to reread those I was going to say when I have time, but I will make time to reread those, because those are going to be a yearly reread for sure. The way that those two loved each other, and the way that Kennedy Ryan explains it, it's great. And then I just talked about this one. So those are the books that I read for this. Crystal, I hope you love this. I know I did. I'm so glad I did this. I was nervous to do this, but it was so worth it. And I had such a great time talking with you about these this week. Knowing that you're going to see my reactions here. We'll see. But anyway, everyone else who watched this as well who's not Crystal, thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end of this. This was definitely a bit different than what I normally do, but I trust Crystal's recommendations just about more than anyone else. Even though we are not 100% the same on everything, I'm usually able to pick out the ones that work for me. But anyway, yeah. Definitely check out her channel if you guys haven't at this point. After hearing me yak about it, you probably only clicked on this if you know who Crystal is, because it's kind of weird if you don't know who Crystal is and you're watching this. Welcome. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out all my links down in the description. Check out Crystal's channel, and I'll see you guys next time.